Welcome in the latest episode of What I Bet. Just finished up an incredible Game 7 in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Montreal Canadiens almost got screwed by the refs. Ridiculous, no goaltender interference, and then ensuing face-off after a timeout, commercial break, blah, blah, blah. Buffalo scores, sends it to overtime, and put the Montreal side and under all into big time concern. Put me on tilt, put it for a little while. I'm the real underscore G Warner. You're listening to the Straight Outta Vegas AM podcast, and I am going to go through a Major League Baseball card on Tuesday because that's kind of all we got, at least the sports that I cover. And then, of course, we're getting ready for plenty of other football and other things like that coming down the stretch. Future podcasts coming out as well. Actually, now that I think about it, I need to make a couple English Premier League lines. I think we do have some midweek matches as we're trying to finish up the soccer calendar across Europe. So we'll start with that actually, and then get into the rest that is on this slate. Let me make some numbers really fast. I also want to mention the What I Bet podcast. We have a What I Bet best bet coming end of show every show. We were a winner on our last episode, the 19th of May. Nope, that's today. The 15th, 14th of May with the Chicago White Sox, who continue to surprise. And it's actually my first look at a lot of these Major League Baseball lines, which should be maybe of interest. We'll see how that all ends up going, but certainly something I'm looking forward to getting numbers out and literally putting myself on camera to do it with all of you. Well, first though, I'll start with the English Premier League because that is at least some matinee action in case anyone wants to, I don't know, make your afternoon a little bit more interesting. We got Bournemouth hosting Manchester City, a big battle at the top of the English Premier League. Bournemouth at home, arguable what they have to play for, especially with their manager likely leaving potentially for the next game we're going to talk about in the head job at Chelsea. But without further ado, let's get to it. So, using lines at Bet Online, currently Bournemouth looks like they're about a three-quarter goal underdog across the marketplace. I'm seeing plus one half, plus 132, which is enormous. These numbers do end up getting closer to what looks like the real market, but I feel like Bet Online has sportsbetting.ag, their sister site. They did a really good job of offering alternate lines, and then I've completely forgotten that they were doing that. So I don't know what the heck's going on there, but we'll grade it as three-quarters of a goal underdog right now for Bournemouth. Total in this one is three, just incredibly to over. So let's call that three and a quarter. And Bournemouth pretty much, I mean, they're in position to I guess shock the world. They're on a better rested situation because they didn't have to play this weekend in the FA Cup final, which is a big deal in England, the most important of the two club competitions. So I really like the setup for Bournemouth. Three-quarter goal underdogs looks very interesting to me. Kickoff is at 2:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 Central. Would love to get a plus one. Certainly would be trending in that direction for this uh, with everyone from England betting teams that are at the top of the table against lower ranked ones. But it's also not a guarantee. We'll see what happens where this number closes. But Bournemouth, three-quarter goal underdogs. My bigger interest than the under, generally an underdog and under player. I'm not sure there's a lot for me, though, on this matchup with considering Manchester City and their ability to dominate the ball. Next move to Chelsea hosting Tottenham. Tottenham trying to save their season, save their bacon, save their Premier League place, which is amazing. Don't think they want Joseph Levy back. This is kind of his fault, but it's amazing so far. Tottenham are half a goal underdogs right now. Juices split both ways, minus 108 each side at Bet Online, which if you're looking for a lower price book, at least for English Premier League numbers and potentially World Cup, and of course, what we'll end up getting to the Premier League next season, hopefully on What I Bet, if you guys keep listening, screaming, downloading, all those sort of things. But Tottenham is a half goal underdog to Chelsea, who are a disaster. I mean, I'm interested in that for sure. Yes, it's not going to be the most ideal situation, and it looks like you're probably seeing two and three quarters for the total out there. But Chelsea are a mess. They've sacked managers who are capable, replaced them with absolutely untested, unproven ones, and it happens every single season. So until they figure something out, which I feel like it's what they've been known to do, so I wouldn't expect them to anytime soon. Give me Tottenham plus half of a goal, go on the road to get a result, and potentially make themselves a little bit closer to safety as we enter the last match day of the Premier League season. So that is the English Premier League portion of the show. I'm glad I remembered it, so at least we got two sports to cover on this episode of What I Bet. But now let's go to the big part, and that is the Major League Baseball portion of what honestly was a huge card for me on Monday. I'm not really sure how many. I think I made seven or eight plays, which is incredible for a Monday night card, which is usually pretty weak and doesn't have, or at least involves a lot of buys, or at least teams on travel days. But you know, you can't lose what you don't put in the table, but you also can't win. So doing a lot of watching of baseball tonight into tomorrow and grading those out and seeing how we did. We'll start with the Atlanta Braves visiting the Miami Marlins. It's a 3:10 Central Time start, 4:10 Eastern Time. I'm not exactly sure why this one's first pitch is being thrown so soon because there aren't rainouts in Miami, really. But Martin Perez, who's been honestly juggling between the starting rotation in Atlanta. Welcome to Late Nights with the Real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. The odds are back. But Martin Perez has made an appearance in the bullpen. I guess you could argue the Braves bullpen was in dire need, while unfortunately they were ahead late in the game and ended up leaving Bryce Elder out there to give up a two-run shot to Wilson Contreras and lose a lead that the Braves had literally since their first batter hit bottom of the first inning. Brutal on Friday night last weekend, but or Saturday I think it was. But those things happen, and I guess Bryce Elder deserved to be out there, and he's a Longhorn guy, so it's hard for me to ignore that. But Martin Perez minus 139 favorite on the road at Braxton Garrett, coming off, I think, making his second start in the bigs after recovering from Tommy John surgery. It's a gigantic number. I'll put it that way. I don't know that I really agree with I mean, the Braves are awesome, and that certainly needs to be said. But I don't know that I really trust them to be, I mean, they're starting a journeyman at starting pitcher, and I don't know that I really trust Martin Perez in this type of situation. So, with that said, it certainly gives me some interest in the home underdog. It's a great park for limiting runs being scored, which is definitely the problems that Miami has compared to Atlanta. Somehow set aside also on Saturday their 9 run or 8 run 10th inning after extra innings were forced at 2-2 when they ended up blowing a save, which coming from behind to even tie the game, take the lead, all those sort of things, and then scoring 8 in the top of 10 to kill my under. There's a lot of bad beats this past weekend, but we survived, and that's the most important thing. But I don't trust Miami's offense. I really like Martin Perez. Actually, I love him as an underdog. I'm kind of sick of him going to these really good teams and being a road favorite because he just doesn't have the ability to deliver on that, in my opinion. With all that said, I am interested in the home underdog, definitely. And I think more interested in the under in this matchup, actually, even though it's a little bit of an anti-Ronald Acuna Jr. Being injured and certainly that impact on Atlanta, which hasn't been that significant yet. But the total is really juiced to 8 right now, over minus 125. So I'll be waiting to see if this one climbs. Love the early start for that. And love when I play unders to split first half in game. We'll next move to Chase Burns, the Cincinnati Reds, visiting the Philadelphia Phillies, and Jesús Luzardo. Luzardo minus 139 to 8.5 is the total, just more to the over in this one. The Reds were a pretty cheap underdog on the road tonight, and honestly, hung around in a game they didn't have any business being in, then ended up taking the lead on a home run, I think it was, in the top of the eighth, only to surrender that lead in the bottom of the eighth, two-run shot for Bryson Stott of all players. Don't love that the Reds weren't able to win tonight when Kyle Schwarber was out of the lineup due to illness. Now, you could argue that Chase Burns is one of the best young arms in baseball, and honestly, he's a great bet every time he seems to be out there. Plus 126, a little bit lower than I made it. I imagine when Schwarber is announced back in the lineup that will change the number here, and get us a bigger one on Cincinnati. Philadelphia, I mean, Yohan Duran is awesome at the end of a game, but there's still a lot of other concerns for me about the rest of that Phillies bullpen. They're definitely hitting a lot better, but there's still some questions for me about kind of who they are at this point. And it's been a really good run since Don Mattingly took over. Probably just could have waited a little bit longer with Rob Thompson, but whatever. Um, Basically Chelsea and baseball form as the Philadelphia Phillies at this point. But Luzardo has his blowups, and I think Chase Burns can outpitch him. So that's what's interesting to me. Just so hard to play totals under in a um, ballpark like Philadelphia. So I'll probably let that one go. Next, we'll go to Jack Caglione hits a double, finally scores a run for the Royals after they got one man thrown out the plate, got a runner to third with less than two out, couldn't score him earlier, and now look, they're down 3-0, now 3-1. I guess shouldn't give any spoilers out because I don't want those, so sorry about that. Sleepy, edit this. But we'll go next to the Cleveland Guardians visiting the Detroit Tigers. A big battle of teams that seem to eliminate each other in the Major League Baseball playoffs, whether it's division round or championship. They never seem to get to I guess, or I guess wild card round or divisional round. They never seem to get the championship series. But Parker Messick starting with Cleveland Guardians has been awesome so far this year. He's a minus 119 favorite at Detroit and Keider Montero, who as a home underdog, I'm a little bit surprised to see. But Detroit has been playing so poorly that it deserves it. They've been struggling with injuries for sure. And look at low budget Cleveland surviving, losing their shortstop. All that happens is Brian Roque comes up and starts pounding the ball like never before seen. And I really like what I've seen from Cleveland. Yes, I'm interested in the home underdog as I always am. But I'm concerned there. Total at 7.5, juice very heavily to over. Would love to get the push on 8 available. And I really like Keider Montero also. So two good bullpens. Lineups are pretty limited and a great park for pitchers, especially you're giving up some fly balls. So I like that all. Probably biggest interest is under in Cleveland visiting Detroit. Next, we go to Baltimore and Kyle Bradish visiting Griffin Jacks. Nice name for Tampa Bay Rays, who's working his way into the starting rotation. Jacks has been okay as a starter. The Rays have been punishing the ball. I mean, what they did to Tyler Rogers tonight was incredible. Shane McClanahan did do a great job responding to an extremely long inning where I think the Rays batted around. But Kyle Bradish has been really bad to start the season. Maybe he's turning around. That's certainly what this number suggests. But I'm sorry, Griffin Jacks is a minus 112 favorite at home, plus 102 in the Baltimore Orioles. I'll be playing the Rays and total at 7.5. I think I believe enough in the Rays offense right now that I don't want much to do with fading it. Three overs this weekend and over on Monday night. Probably reasons for me to look elsewhere with my unders and Rays strategy at home, or really just play the Rays. Next, we go to the New York Mets. Nolan McLean visiting Foster, Forrest, Griffin, another Griffin out there for the Washington Nationals. The Mets minus 147 plus 133 coming back on the Nats. Total is 9, juiced minus 110 both ways. So no real tell there. The Nats offense has been awesome so far this season. Do we believe in it? Will it continue? How can it after James Wood fell off a cliff last second half of the season? And CJ Abrams is always so hard to figure out. Maybe he's figured out not to go to the casino night before games anymore or something like that. Um, but the Nats have been hitting. McLean's been really good, gets a lot of respect from the marketplace. Probably one that I skip, but lean to the Nats and I guess to over, but that doesn't correlate. Next, we go to the Toronto Blue Jays and Dylan Cease visiting New York Yankees and Will Warren. Cease has been incredible and surprising a little bit to me to see him a plus 120 underdog, though certainly it seems a little bit reasonable. Total this one's 8.5. She's very heavily to over minus 125. Will Warren's been great to start this year, too. Yes, they're in the Bronx, the little kid park in uh, Manhattan, or I guess a little bit north of Manhattan. And I think we see Dylan Cease. The hard part is he's so good, but he has blowups in him. And I've been kind of betting against him so far this season, expecting some, and he hasn't really had any of those. I'm not sure all the wins against us or that he's had so far this season have been deserved because that Toronto bullpen's pretty limited. I just don't know what price it would take for me to want to fade the Yankees, who are starting a good pitcher, maybe not as high of a ceiling as Dylan Cease, but ultimately the Yankees bullpen is so much better. So I think you got to really have some faith in Dylan Cease out pitching Bill Warren to even get involved here. Maybe under 8.5 when it moves to 9. Man, I think I need to wait and see on that one. Next, we go to the Milwaukee Brewers and Jacob Misiorowski visiting the Chicago Cubs and Ben Brown. Currently, Ben Brown, a plus 103 home underdog, which is really respectful of the Brewers. But I think last year and really winning the NL Central every year, it seems, is pretty promising for them. But Ben Brown has been awesome since moving out of the setup role to the closer role to now pitching in the rotation. So he's not likely to go deep. That does make a lot of questions out there for the Cubs relief, but home underdogs are exactly what I like. So that's an interesting one for me in that matchup. Total at 8, little bit lean to under, but really depends on the winds in Wrigley. And even then, when the wind's blowing out, I seem to like unders, and that's a dangerous game to play. Move next to Boston visiting Kansas City. As I just was talking, and hopefully not spoiling any results for anyone that wanted to listen to that, but this is probably getting posted late night, so hopefully you all would have caught up by then. But Ranger Suarez, who's been an awesome signing, I love that move from the Red Sox. Kind of still surprised why the Phillies let him go, even though they wanted to promote Andrew Painter. And Ranger Suarez is a minus 119 favorite at Kansas City's Baylor Falter. Falter plus 108, totals 8, juice very heavily to under right now, minus 116, 16 to 20 cents juice. Um, I am not a believer in Bailey Falter. He's had some good numbers in his career for limited amounts of starts, and then things go really off the rails. So I would not want really too much to get involved either of the fading of um, Ranger Suarez. Don't want that, but also don't really want to get involved with the Royals, who've been struggling big time. And I'll say. I do expect the Royals. I mean, they play much better at home. They hit much better, pretty decent slugging. They've been really bad away from home, which doesn't make sense because they play in a pitcher's park. But things are better. Maybe they're stealing signs. Who knows? It's sort of a joke, but not really at this point in Major League Baseball. But um, I like the home underdog. Played Kansas City on Monday night, but I don't know that Bailey Falter I trust enough. Next, we go to the Houston Astros. Lance McCullers Jr. visiting the Minnesota Twins and Zebby Matthews. McCullers minus excuse me, plus 118 on the road, which is enormous. Totals 8.5, just more to the under. But this reflects Houston's offense, which is so limited. I mean, Houston is basically rebuilding, but doing it quietly, and no one in Major League Baseball media seemed to figure it out. But now Altuve on the IL, Correa, who's not even good anymore. He was an important piece to them, done for the season. Yordan Alvarez is basically by himself with all these call-ups from the AAA MILB. Puts a lot of stress on McCullers, who's not been good for years, and on Houston bullpen, which has been really limited. I don't really, I can't. The Twins with a call up minus 130 to Houston is ridiculous for how limited they are and how bad they are. Bullpen's bad. A lot of things are bad. Um, God, I guess I lean to Minnesota though, because Houston's got a lot of problems. The price though is a big enough favorite that might be easy for me to let go. Next, we'll go to Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Mitch Keller at Matthew Liberatore. Liberatore is running on fumes, minus 105. Total is 8, juice more to the over. Pittsburgh's been better so far this season. They spent more on their team, which is crazy to say because St. Louis is usually a team trying to fight for division titles, whereas Pittsburgh is always at the bottom. Well, things have changed, and St. Louis is going to start falling apart. They've been really good away from home so far. That's not going to continue either. Lean to Pittsburgh minus 105, though, is not a price I usually play. Road underdogs. I'll need a even money or better, most likely, or I will likely skip. We'll next go to the Texas Rangers and Kumar Rocker and a Peralta of some sort pitching for Colorado. Call up, does it matter? Who knows? But let's give them their due. Currently, Peralta, a plus 117 home underdog to Kumar Rocker. Totals 10.5, juiced pretty heavily to over right now. But that's a low total. Certainly reflects a lot about the weather in Denver. Certainly where you can expect a lot of changes. And as we get hotter into the summer and people stop believing in what Colorado's done to start the season, that'll certainly help. But until then, I guess we're here. Um, but Kumar Rocker, I don't really trust. Total, I'll lean over 10.5 in that matchup. Don't like road favorites. Texas's offense certainly makes that a question, but we'll see. We'll move on to Jacob Lopez in the formerly known as Oakland Athletics, just regular Athletics now, visiting Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Another weird name. Reed Detmers is towing the bump for the Halos right now. Detmer is minus 123 favorite. Total is 9, just minus 112 to the over, minus 108 to the under. And I was hoping that the Angels would get no respect like they did on Monday night. But it seems like the market's a little bit wise to the Athletics and Jacob Lopez being trash. Or at least he showed a lot last year, but has not delivered on it. So I'll lean right now to the Angels minus 123, though that bullpen is not something I want to lay any sort of juice with, I'll admit. Next, go to San Francisco. Landon Roop visiting the Arizona Diamondbacks and Ryan Nelson. Right now, Nelson minus 120 favorite. Total is 9, juice all the way to under, likely coming down to 8.5. But I don't know if you want to do that in that ballpark, I got to say. From a San Francisco perspective, I was pretty close to backing Robbie Ray on Monday night, but their offense is just so weak. And honestly, their bullpen's bad. I mean, the Giants are a team I just want to be against as much as possible. I think I bet the Rays all three in their home games against San Francisco because for some reason, Marketplace believed in San Francisco while Tampa Bay Rays are setting records in their franchise and maybe in all of Major League Baseball. Anyway, Landry Roof's good, but I still don't really believe in him either. Last game on the list, or actually two left to go. We have Los Angeles Dodgers, Emmett Sheehan on the road at Griffin Canning. Another Griffin, amazing record of three Griffins on this podcast, I believe. But Canning plus 140, totals 8.5, and it's just more to the over. Um, Sheehan, I don't trust because the Dodgers don't trust, but at this point, how can you trust Griffin Canning coming off of Achilles surgery? Has been working his way back in, and he's got to battle the Dodgers, which is not great. Last but not least, the Chicago White Sox and Anthony Kay, actually the winner on a best bet for the What I Bet portion of the show coming in a few minutes on our last episode. But Anthony Kay plus 131 underdog on the road to Seattle and Bryce Miller. Total in this one 7.5 and the juice is split both ways minus 110. Seattle is impossible to hit in, but they've also struggled. Cal Raleigh's in the IL, though he was horrible so far this entire season. And if you draft from second round of fantasy league at your catcher position, RIP. But at least there's some other options out there. Um, let's see what else we got. Anthony Kay's been great. Can you believe it? I don't know. The White Sox have been awesome, way better than expectations. Can you believe that? I don't know either. That's the hard part. So. At this point, I don't really know what's going on in a lot of these situations. So we're just kind of doing what we do and dealing with it and seeing what happens as I've, of course, again killed my spreadsheet by saving over things like an idiot. But regardless, I lean to the White Sox plus 131. They've been playing well. Seattle has not. Incredible. They lost all six games to San Diego in their fake rivalry game. But it happens. And it's now time to save you some money at pregame.com. Before we get to the ultimate best bet, make sure you use the promo code. I just lost it. Shine 10, good for $10 off anything, including the rest of May all access. Get every pick in every sport from your favorite pro through May 31st for less money than the normal 7-day all access price. There's still 12 days left in the month. Get in there. SHINE 10. S is in Sam, H is Hotel, I is in India, N is in Nancy, E is in Echo, 10, good for $10 off. $99. No, only pay 89 for the rest of May all access for your favorite pro. Could be me, Griffin Warner. Sports across all sports, bets across all sports, soccer coming through the rest of the season. Of course, getting into World Cup coming up soon. Prep certainly over there. Major League Baseball over the place, and a big Stanley Cup 2-0 tonight. Underdog and under. Great in game sevens. Love that. I mean, Montreal's been awesome to me and my family so far. And then the What I Bet Best Bet. So we're winner on our last episode, plus 116 on the Chicago White Sox. That was a nice pull. Hope to do more of that going forward, of course. But in this episode, my favorite bet, What I Bet. Let's go. What I bet on this episode. Let's go with the New York Yankees minus 132 to Toronto Blue Jays. See you on the next episode. What I bet on Straight Outta Vegas AM. Make sure you subscribe. Hit me up at the real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Sleepy, counting in. Three, two, one. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner. This is What I Bet, best bet portion of the What I Bet podcast on the Straight Outta Vegas AM podcast feed. You can find us on Twitter at pregame now. And of course, wherever you get your podcast on the Straight Outta Vegas AM feed. For this episode, we're going New York Yankees minus 132. Will Warren against Dylan Cease. If starters change, then maybe that number might change, and maybe you don't want to take it in that scenario. I know there's plenty of books that are using listed pitchers. I would generally recommend it because I want to make sure Will Warren starts, but this number will skyrocket if Dylan Cease is not pitching. He's been great to start the season, but the Jays are really bad, really weak. Their bullpen's bad. They made it to the World Series last year, but I didn't believe it. No one believed it. No one should be believing it this season. And Will Warren's been really good. Yankees bullpen's much better. They're at home. They're a much better lineup. Take the Yankees minus 132, and that's our best bet. The What I Bet best bet for this episode on May 19th of the year of our Lord 2026.